Rugby World Cup 2023 just seems to be kind of edging closer. There's still little tidbits of news coming out every now and again. The latest one, after we had the initial draw of the teams a few weeks ago, months ago now, is the actual fixtures list. And it's one to both get excited about because there's some bloody tasty matchups on the cards. But also it can be a little bit anticlimactic. Like, I'll see if I can link the video to World Rugby's draw page, but it's sometimes a little bit hard to get excited when you see, like, the first game, I will say, is France against the All Blacks. Now, that's a hell of a way to open the tournament. So that's like a proper, you see that one, like, top stuff. And then, like, the next game you see is, like, Ireland versus Europe 2. Like, when you've got Europe 2, Africa 1, final qualifying team, it's just... those ones are kind of hard to get excited about. The World Cup does get drawn really, really early. So we do have this case where you've got, America 2 up against Oceania 1. You don't know who the teams are. We've still got to wait to see how the qualifying goes. But like I said, the ones that which we do know, there's certainly some interesting ones. I won't go through every single match, but I will go through some of the ones which are to look forward to, and some of the ones which I think are kind of interesting in the way that it's been drawn. So, like, I'll start with Pool A. Like I said, it starts with France and New Zealand, which is a very, very good way to get the tournament going. Two of the favourites, I would assume, going into the World Cup. France being the hosts, with a young team at the moment, which is doing really well, and the All Blacks always go into every World Cup as one of the top favourites. So that's going to be an interesting marker to set the benchmark. And that pool finishes with France versus Italy, which it could be an interesting one to decide how the pool goes. Especially if New Zealand managed to beat France in that first game, that will become the qualifying game for France to get through. But if France beat the All Blacks, they should already be through by that point. And if Italy have beaten the All Blacks, then maybe they can go through, but it seems unlikely. One thing I do like about Italy's draw, because Italy kind of always has a tough time, seemingly at World Cups, getting drawn against pretty tough teams. I do like that Italy played their first two games against the non-New Zealand and France teams. So they play Africa 1, after which they play America 1. So they get their two games to get up to speed. Whereas, New Zealand and France kick off against each other, smash each other into oblivion. And, before New Zealand play Italy, we've got Africa 1, so that may be one where they kind of rotate the team. So yeah, it will be an interesting one. I do like that aspect of the draw for Italy, but it still looks like a very tough pool for them. Pool B, so that's South Africa, Ireland, Scotland, plus Europe 2 and Asia Pacific 1. Starts off with Ireland against Europe 2, which is, at this point kind of hard to get too excited about, because that's... who knows who Europe 2 is going to be? The team that finishes behind Georgia, you would have to say. Georgia's probably going to be Europe 1. But the second game of that pool is South Africa against Scotland. And again, that's a big blockbuster game to get things underway. You do have to like that one. And then it kind of peters out a little bit for a while. But I guess when I looked at it, I thought, Ireland is another one like Italy that kind of has their two easy games first, if you want to call it that. Ireland's got a bit of a tight start to the pool, and then they've got one big game at the end. So they play Europe 2, followed by Asia Pacific 1. Then they play the Springboks, and then they've got a big gap before they play Scotland in the second to last pool game. So again, that game where it's like second to last pool game, Ireland against Scotland, will in all likelihood decide who goes through in what position. Anyone could beat anyone among those three teams, but you would have to say it'll kind of go down to the wire, because the final game of that pool is Asia Pacific 1 against Europe 2, which will likely be to decide who finishes bottom of that pool, who can get the win. So, that pool should be kind of excitement right through till virtually the last game, which is good to see. Pool C, on the other hand, I think will pretty much be decided about halfway through. Fiji have, and I should have mentioned, Scotland, just like the last World Cup with their final game against Japan, they've got their final game against Ireland, so they've got another virtually a final in the pool stage. So it'll be interesting how they go. Pool C, Fiji start with their two big games first. They've got Wales, and then they've got Australia within 7 days of each other. So play Wales, then play Australia. If they lose both of those, they're essentially done for the tournament, unless crazy things happen with the other teams. They do have Europe 1, which will be Georgia in all likelihood, so maybe that throws a bit of a spanner in the works, but I would doubt it. I would doubt it. So yeah, I would say Australia and Wales, which is on the 24th, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the 6th game of the pool. That will probably decide the way the pool plays out. And then the final 4 matches, Fiji against Europe 1, Australia against final qualifier, Wales against Europe 1, and Fiji against final qualifier. I don't think they'll have too much bearing on things. I think they should all go the way predicted. You never know at a World Cup, but I would say that pool, in terms of like having that last game with everything's on the line, this pool doesn't really have that. It should be pretty much decided about halfway through. And the last one, Pool D, so you got England, Japan, and Argentina, plus America's 2, and Oceania 1. England Argentina is a pretty big opener, so that should be a really good game. And then England have to back up against Japan. So England have got the 2 big games straight up. So you can look at that as a good thing. If they win them both, then they've kind of got 2 rest-ish games. I know that sounds disrespectful, but they do manage the squads in that kind of way to make sure they rotate some of the players through to have a rest before the knockout stages of the tournament. And what I do like about this one, the final game of the pool is Japan against Argentina, which, again, on paper, sitting here 2 years out, that should be the game that decides the pool. So, yeah, big opener and big closer to Pool D. But, yeah, as I said, I should be able to link the World Rugby page if you want to go see the full fixtures list. At some point, it'd be good for us to have a look and see just exactly how many days rest everyone gets and what kind of travel distances we're looking like, because I think most of the venues are pretty much locked in, or not, although not the times and whatnot. They're still kind of progressing. But remember, the pool stage is going to be a week longer, so we shouldn't have those kind of 4-day turnarounds this time. It should be 6 days at least, which in the previous tournaments has sometimes been a bit of a luxury. You're still going to have some teams like Ireland have a big break between some of their games. I think South Africa, Ireland is the 23rd of September, and then Ireland, Scotland is the 7th of October, so that could even be too long. I don't know. Just dropped my pen. You guys take care, but let me know your thoughts on the fixtures. Which pool do you think might be the closest? Do you think this list, if you go have a look at the full one, gives anybody an advantage? Do you think it's better to play the easy games first and build like Italy have got? Or do you think getting the hard games out the way like England and Fiji have got is maybe preferable? I kind of tend to think the easy games first to build up to it works, but then again, you've had up to every World Cup, you have warm-up games anyway, so I don't know. We'll have to go back. Maybe that's another video in itself, looking back as to what winning teams have generally had in favour of their draw. Anyway, you guys have any thoughts? Talk to you again soon. See you later. If you guys are looking to get your hands on some rugby gear, be it club teams, premierships, Super Rugby, Pro 14, international teams, if you want some rugby gear, not just jerseys, but, you know, jerseys is kind of my thing, head over to World Rugby Shop. I'll put a link to their store in the description. They've got heaps of stuff on sale. One of the best kind of collections you will see in any of the rugby jersey and rugby gear stores around. And a bonus thing about these guys, we have partnered up. So if you use the code 2 cents when you're at the checkout, you will get an additional 10% off your order as well. So yeah, man, World Rugby Shop, link in the description. Check it out, guys. Take care. Bye.